Remix.
That's right. Welcome out, everybody. This is the Remix Morning Show right here on Black Power Media. We are giving it to you, that boom bap breakfast. And you never know who you're going to have today, but I am the Ear Doctor, and let me introduce you to your host. We got no other than Dr. Jared Ball. And that's all.
Sometimes that's all you need. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that's all you need. What's up, world? What's up, remixers? What's up, Ear Doctor? How you feeling, man?
Hey, everything's good. We outside again, ready to get this weekend started. You know?
Outside.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm for one a little bit tired, but very excited. I have a very exciting day ahead.
Okay.
A lot happening. Oh.
Can we give on? Oh, is somebody pushing buttons? Who pushed that button?
My bad.
Wow, we got extra production going on here. We got no other than Kaval K. Franklin.
What's up? Are we all live?
Oh my god.
Oh damn! I thought it was about to be back. I thought it was backstage. I was like, yeah, waiting on me to come on. I'm the only one. Like, if I'm the only one, then there's no show. All the rest of y'all are professionals. I like that.
Yeah, they can talk.
Me and my wife were having an argument, so that's why I was a little late.
Tell us more.
Well, she claims she's saying she helps me save me money and that she saved my life. And then I thought about it, and the fact that she was right, I didn't like it. Because she reminded me of what I was eating for breakfast and for dinner when she met me, which was in the morning with sausage, egg, and cheese from the corner store, from the bodega. And then my nighttime meals was like some chicken fried rice from the Chinese spot. She's like, that's all you ate. That's all you ate when I met you. And I think she was right. That was like 80% of my meals. So I would have had a heart attack by now if it wasn't for,
That's good.
That's not. I have it way worse than you. Because I have an official message from an actual doctor that literally said your wife saved your life.
Wow.
Because you have a note from the doctor?
Because some years ago I thought I was just having back pain. Sometimes I can't tell exactly where the pain is originating because of the particular issues that I have. So it's hard to tell. And I was folded over in bed one day, and I was just like, man, this is really I'm getting worked over. And my wife was like, man, you need to go to the doctor. And I was like, nah, I'm gonna lay, sleep it off, walk it off, whatever. Sure enough, I go to the doctor, and I remember he did this. It was a cool brother right down the street too. He said he checked me, did the symptom check, and then he said, do a jumping jack. And I couldn't even get. And he said, go immediately to the hospital and tell them you need an appendectomy. I'm calling it over. You're going to get your appendectomy right now. Don't even. And I said, he said you're risking a bursted appendix, and he said your wife saved your life by making you come here, because you would have gone to sleep, it would have burst, and you might not have survived. So he said I was like, can I at least stop at the house and get a book? I was like, he was like, no. He said, go straight. I'm calling the emergency room right now. Go straight there. And then, so my wife officially can claim that she saved my life.
That's true.
Man, I need to give me a wife before I get your age so I can make sure I'm straight.
I studies almost tried to kill my wife.
You said what?
I officially tried to kill my wife.
What are you, a scissor?
Now, he's definitely on his get us banned from YouTube mission.
Well, I mean, it was so it wasn't on purpose, but it was like my life versus hers.
Accidental murderer over here.
Yeah. So we were at this wasn't the honeymoon, but it was some early on vacation, or either about marriage time, right before, or somewhere in that time. And I think we went to this was Mexico. It was either Mexico or Jamaica. I can't even remember anymore. So long ago that I tried to kill her. And then so I don't swim. You know what I mean? I fake swim in the pool, or if I go to the beach, I go to the water, it's up to the waist, but no deeper than that, because I don't play with that. It's just too much or whatever. Except with the kids, and I'll do whatever. So So we went to a beach, and then it was like a rocky beach. So, and I hate, from Brooklyn, I don't like to touch nothing with my feet. I like shoes on all the time. If I could wear Tim's to the
You
beach,
do
I
with
was that
Tim's
dude.
on the beach.
I was that dude. Yeah, I was like, I don't like that. But so anything that touches the feet that's not a sole connected to the shoe, I'm just kind of like, I can't take it. Can't take it. So I guess we were like playing in the water, swimming. I stepped off a rock, right? And I thought there was going to be a surf, and it wasn't. And I was like, and then she tried to help me. Then I pulled myself. I pulled her down to pull me up.
What?
I kind of pushed off for her. It was like a natural reaction. I feel it was a natural.
Sound like crabs in a barrel.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely was. I definitely at that moment had a moment of like, I need to get to the shore. What can I grab? But she forgave me.
And she's still with you.
Well, it was me or her in that moment.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It's a true story.
Perfectly
too.
believable though.
Why am I hetero lonely? Because
What they
like
do-
this.
Apparently, the studies do
What?
show that married men live longer.
Who put that thing together?
It makes sense
It's
to me.
true. No, it is true.
You got somebody
We do
looking
need
out for
somebody to take
you,
care of us.
somebody to help you out if you got an issue.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm gonna get one. I'm almost your age, so yeah, I'm gonna work on that.
Almost.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, I got a while. You're right.
Now when I saw you in your commercials on the basketball court, you move like an old man. I know it's supposed to. You put the shirt on. You're supposed to be athletic, but I was like, look, he's dribbling that ball like he's 60 years old. Some 20-year-old just would come like pop, pop, pop. Get that out of here.
Yeah, 20
I mean, if you look carefully, you see that the video starts early in the day, and by the time the editing finishes, the sun is going down. It's like how many edits did it take to get that ball in the hole? You know what I'm saying? It's like how many shots?
It took 20 minutes to do that whole video.
Married men and single women live longer. That don't
That's
even
right.
make no sense.
It do. That's what I heard too. That's why I was like, y'all bugging.
I think that is true. Yeah,
because he had peace.
So they sacrificed their lives for us.
Pretty much. We're using them. We're using these women.
Wouldn't change a thing in that scenario. Wouldn't change a thing. Someone's got to take the L.
Thank you, Zenzi Bell, for that $10. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And welcome to all the remixers live and direct. So listen, real quick, man, I'm about to have a really good day. I did want to share this with everybody. So I get to start the day with the remix.
Mm-hmm.
At 11 o'clock, we're talking to Rosa Clemente about this latest developments with the Hip Hop Museum, which we'll talk a little bit about in the news break. And then I get to go and speak to a class at Georgetown. Ooh. And I'm bringing my oldest daughter with me. And so she can see, she's getting ready to do the college campus, visitation, so she can get to see, real classroom with her father live and direct.
Oh, nice.
And then I'm taking her out and we going out for dinner and a movie.
Oh,
so it's going to be a great day.
Oh,
sure. I'm going to see Creed 3.
I don't know yet. She's supposed to be picking. No, I don't want to. I'm trying to get her. I'm trying to go to like one of these spots in the city that got some like different kinds of movies. You know what I'm saying? Like to see something else,
like the old school stuff.
Black and white. What do you want to see?
I don't know. There's like it doesn't have to be black and white, but it's just like there's like other films. It's like alternative films, foreign films. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to see Creed 3. I don't care about none of that stuff. You know what I mean?
You want to see a film where they don't even talk; they just walk around like this. Charlie Chaplin.
Say artistic.
You know what I mean? Come on, man. Ain't no other good movies out right now, neither. So.
Yeah, so I don't know what's out right now. So she's supposed to be picking stuff. In fact, this is where I was trying to go. I was trying to go to the Landmark on East Street, but I looked them up and they've fallen off. They got Creed playing there. They got all these other silly movies playing there. It's a dope spot, but is that happening right now?
We need to make
some word. Money. Oh, word. Thank you, Leah. Yeah. I haven't been over there in a minute. Okay. All right. Let me look into that.
All these movies are being redone. It's nothing really good that's like, ooh, this original. It's nothing really good out right
It's been away for like decades now. Hollywood has a formula. It's, nothing ever dies. Just bring it back, put in new actors, superhero things, that kind of stuff. Big budget items, lots of explosions. Every now and then you get something, but that's what makes the money.
Some type of stone that glows.
Some stone that glows, exactly.
From Indiana Jones to the
all of the superhero films got a version of it. They all bite off of each other and do the same. The glowing stones.
Yeah.
And nobody.
How many different ways could you save the world? That's just, they got to figure out something.
They can't ever get rid of poverty though. These superheroes. Like, even as a kid, I used to ask that question. I was like, why? I was like, seriously, I used to collect comics and I used to be like, Daredevil was my guy. And I'm like, but he ain't never really trying to get rid of nothing. Like, it's just like a cycle. They just beat up the bad guy and then the crime continues and they just do it again. And
it's like they got to keep their job going. That's why it's like, why would I do that?
Superman could go all around the universe and whatnot and can't end poverty. I'm like, what?
And then how about the premise of Indiana Jones? He goes to the poorest communities and goes and steals their richest artifacts, and we cheering them on like, yes, go.
That's more realistic.
Don't
and then
get
the Arab
killed.
pulls out the whip and he shoots him with the gun. That's perfect. that's or the sword or whatever. That's exactly that's like accurate history. Oh my goodness.
That's true.
Man, so I guess we go ahead and take a quick break. I know we got a lot of news to get to and chopping it up. So let's go ahead and get to our first break right here on the Remix Morning Show. Yeah, what's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Please make sure y'all hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Go to patreon.com, look for Black Power Media, and drop some change in the bucket. Also, what you could do is you could go to our Cash App, which is Black Power Media Cash App, and drop some change there. Also, we have various ways that you can support the channel, so please do, so we can continue to make this thing happen. With that said, let's go ahead and get to our first artist spotlight. I always ask, if you have something that's pretty dope and you have some artist that you might know and you want to send it in to eardoctormusic1@gmail.com. With that said, I do actually have somebody that sent something in, and he goes by the name of Masiki Scales. I have brought him up before. He's sending a new song right here, which, as you can hear, is more of a slow, laid-back type of joint. This one right here is called Love Lead the Way. Now, you can catch this right here on Bandcamp. This is a soul jazz fusion. There it is right there. That is Love Lead the Way, a nice soul jazz fusion to get y'all started for the morning time. Go check that out on Bandcamp and all other platforms, Masiki Scales and the Common Ground Collective. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and get back to our Remix Morning crew right here on Black Power Media. Let's go. Yeah.
Not bad. Sounded all right. Appreciate folks sending stuff in to for you to check out, for us to peruse. Appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Joe, like I said, we all enjoy live bands, and that's another example of live instrumentation and all that. So
he's a real musician. Like he's So this shit is like quality.
Back in my rapping days, when I was the Black Thought of that group, it was a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Were you the Black Thought?
The Black Thought?
Yeah.
of that Roots.
I was the
group.
black. I was more like the black question.
The black. Hey man, I watched. Oh my God, it was so painful but beautiful. That De La Soul, Black Thought, Roots
Wasn't
performance
it? Yeah.
on Jimmy Fallon was amazing,
Mhm.
and it enrages me that it happens on Jimmy Fallon. I can't get over it. It just is so upsetting. But when they did that Stakes is High joint in particular, which is one of my favorite
Yes.
tracks of all time, with the live band recreated, I mean, it was amazing.
And then at the end, when the music like it faded out and the darkness came, and then he came back into it like bam, and I was like, what?
At last we be out, even though you wanting more. This issue is closed like an elevator door, but soon to reopen once we get to the next floor with the vibe. I was like,
Vibration.
God. And then it kills it, because then here comes Jimmy. Hey, De La Soul with the Roots. That was great. It's like, get the
Bring Arsenio Hall back, damn it.
thank you.
Bring what's the sister's name? That she
I
had
don't
a
even know.
nighttime show too. She's
Black
on
woman?
Yeah,
A
what was
black
her
woman
name?
at night.
Yes,
That's,
the
they never
sister.
allow that. They never allow that.
Bruh, she had a pretty nice little run. What was it? She
Ooh.
from Baltimore too.
Ooh.
She kind of heavy set. She was in
That
that
used
movie.
to be Oprah, but she was on during the day.
Monique.
Monique.
It was a nighttime show?
Yes, she had a nice nighttime show. Y'all
must have hit that shit from I never knew. It was like,
yeah, she had a good nighttime show. Y'all.
I thought there was
Dear
a rule
Dr.
that you
Sugar
just don't
Shan were the
allow.
only ones watching it.
Apparently, that's
No,
what,
no, everybody.
I thought there was a rule. No black women after 10 o'clock can host a show or something.
She was the only one. If we was to look into the history books, she was the only one to have a late night
She
show.
would be the only black woman nighttime regular host.
I'm telling you, man, me and James will be tight if we actually was in the same. Every time he says something, we on the same page. That's what's up, man.
What does that mean? Gun
Gun
control
control
holding
means
it with
using
your
both
hand.
hands in my lands. We talk
Oh.
about the first man.
I was never a big De La fan. I'm sorry.
God damn, thank you, Ear Dot. You beat me to it. I was reaching for the button. I was reaching for the button.
No problemo.
Thank you, Ear
Now,
Doctor.
let's get to the
him outta
news.
here.
The disrespect.
Is that sacrilege? You can't say that.
Yes,
You gotta
it's
love
not-
De La. You
Yes.
gotta. My bad.
Theory is. Oh man,
I was more Tribe. You know, Tribe was.
They
I'm not
was
saying
on
you
the
got you
same
can only like
crew.
one abstract kind of like hippie band, but Tribe. I was much more on Tribe than
Let me get out of here.
De La.
That would be an interesting versus, though, if you were to pit them.
Oh, a
against
battle?
each other.
Oh yeah,
Because De La.
But they both down one man, right?
yeah.
Oh wow, listen to.
They do. Yeah.
They're both down one man. It's like, that's messed up. You just so
Who
foul,
raised
man.
you? You set out in the
Right, that
street with
slipped
the
out, my bad.
coyotes.
I meant that in my head. I didn't mean that to come out.
It just
That was
came
one of
out,
those.
right? Boy, I'm out of here.
Terrible, man. Anyway, let's slap this map, man. Let's talk about some things. In fact, we got some hip hop news to get to anyway. Let's do that.
Oh, cool.
Hey, what's up, world? Welcome back again to the Remix Morning Show right here at Black Power Media. Big shout out to all the remixers and everybody who's going to see this here, see and hear this later. Big shout out to you. Shout out to everybody in the extended crew here and not here, background, foreground, and et cetera, et cetera. So, as I said, later today at 11 o'clock, Rosa Clemente is going to come on and join us to talk about some of the latest goings on. I don't know if anybody saw her IG live from yesterday, or I think yesterday, when she was talking about some of the latest goings on around the Universal Hip Hop Museum. and the controversies that are going on. But yeah, at the end, I believe, of February, actually, this report came out and is just now seemingly starting to get increased attention. Hip hop stands with survivors, end child sex abuse, stop the silence, stop protecting predators. In this special report, Rocky Bucano and the Universal Hip Hop Museum, Public Money, Undue Influence, Conflicts of Interest by Hip Hop Stands with Survivors. And it's essentially calling for the removal of Zulu Nation legends, really, Rocky Bucano and Africa Bambaataa from this museum, given the now many allegations of sexual abuse and child abuse levied against them. And this is like a 30-page report that is basically detailing a lot of the claims and a lot of the issues with the museum being a cover for all of this, for Russell Simmons and his at minimum, if it's not rape, it's sexual misconduct against Drew Dixon. So Rosa will be on to break this down and get into a lot more of the details. I haven't finished reading the entire report myself yet, but it's pretty extensive, and it's basically calling for, if not a removal of the museum, a removal of Bambaataa and Bucano from participating. I think Crazy Legs is involved with, you know, is having allegations against him for similar charges. And it just, as I think Rosa was bringing up on her IG, and we'll talk more about later, it brings up a lot that has, from my humble perspective, that has not been properly discussed just in general in terms of the broader narrative of hip hop history. And then is raising all of these contradictions now about what do we do with these museums? How do you honor people who are obviously legends in building up the culture, but who are clearly, allegedly said to have been involved in what are got to be among the worst of crimes. So with a lot of allegations, a lot of evidence, a lot of, you know, and a refusal on their part to engage. Yeah, you say that about Crazy Legs, but not everybody seems to be on the same page. So
I feel like you can't erase them out of history. You just don't have to honor them. You can't erase.
Does
what
that
they
mean
did.
they're included? Is the museum a physical place, or is it just online, or what?
Place, yeah, and they've raised millions of dollars, and they're, you know, and that was, at least that's, as far as I understand, part of the question. I mean, do you have a display for Bambaataa that then also has a plaque that says he was accused of this, that, and the third, or how exactly are people to deal with this? Rosa also deals, you know, raises a lot of the questions about the imbalance in terms of gender, where you have, you know, all of these foundational women are excluded, all of these activists and artists who are women are excluded, so on and so forth. So we'll, like I said, we'll get in more of that at 11. I'm going to try to squeeze in a further reading of the report before we do that. But anyway, it's just, and then also for me, it's just a reminder again, like, it's like this idea that hip hop was supposed to have solved all of these internal contradictions and conflicts is silly. And then now that there's this ability with the 50th anniversary and the money grab associated with that, and people trying to, you know, get their checks and get credit, and I mean, it's just a lot of, I don't know, it's just messy. And then you have these abuse victims you know, who are just still left out here.
I mean, what Africa Bambaataa has done with the Zulu Nation and bringing all the gangs together and unifying them, and what the community outreach was being done with hip hop, you can't erase that, because that's a major part of the foundation of hip hop. Even him bringing it down to the punk rock clubs and playing the music so it could get more exposure and get out to outside of Brooklyn and Bronx and stuff like that, so it could get to Manhattan and get out to the world. You can't erase what he did, but yeah, you don't have to honor and be like, oh, yo, big up to this person, but you can still tell the story.
Don't you, if you're going to talk about the foundations of hip hop, and don't you have to have, I mean, I've never seen a hip hop special about the foundations of hip hop that didn't include Africa Bambaataa in terms of the contributions.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's really hard to not do something that's talking about how hip hop got started without including someone like that, even if the idea is that you're telling the story about how the musical genre reached a certain level and audience and who participated in that, then it seems like you've got to include that person for that reason. And
but maybe not award. Maybe
yeah, well, maybe not. Yeah, maybe at this point you don't have to give this person an award, but if you're doing a museum,
you gotta
and it's supposed to be tracing the little history. A part of it is to trace the literal history of how something got started, or who was sort of like a major factor in it. It's kind of hard to suggest that you're not going to include someone who, again, I don't think there's no controversy around the role that Bambaataa played in developing, starting, putting out stuff that made hip hop grow or change in different ways. So it feels like you have to, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, in my estimation or whatever. And then somebody and somebody brought up, they didn't bring it up in this context, but didn't Tupac get convicted of in New York? Wasn't he convicted of rape? Isn't that why he had to go to prison?
Yeah, but that case, honestly, I don't think that.
I know. Whoa.
Okay, go ahead.
Before you do that, because that's the thing. No one ever includes Tupac as a person who either participated and or allowed. I'm not saying allegedly, right? The abuse and or I think that the accusation was like basically he left the room, right, and his boys had their way with somebody. So I think that if I remember correctly, like it's been a long time ago. But
he was
I think
also accused of doing something on the dance floor too. But there was so much that came out that challenges that narrative. So while I'm not at all trying to disrespect people who make claims, I think that particular issue doesn't really stand up. Whereas this one here, and I've only pulled up this page here because in this part of the report, it's talking about something you both raised, that Bambaataa is still receiving awards. He's still going on tour. He's still being recognized and earning money. And this was something I know Rosa was calling that needed to be put to a stop. Like people shouldn't be allowed to be booked and have these gigs and all that kind of stuff. But the point is he's still, and again, he was allegedly, that is, Bambaataa was allegedly molesting under 17-year-old boys while he was in his mid-30s. Pac, that's what I was saying, like Pac's accusation was, again, against one woman who was of age, and there was so much evidence against the claim that of rape in his case. So I just don't think those two should be, paired up like that. But anyway, it's
I don't know.
I honestly don't know. I mean, it's the same thing. It's like an exaggeration of what we've talked about before. Like, what do we do with James Brown or Miles Davis? Exactly. And like, what do we do with that? This to me, admittedly, is, I don't know, the hierarchy of oppression is not encouraged, but molestation of children is still, to me, worse than even hitting your spouse.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I just don't know. It's just, all of it is upsetting. All of it is gross. All of it is and really what I can't get over is that none of these communities are whole. So part of what is at issue here is I think people are trying to position themselves for paydays and notoriety, and they're desperate, and people are, I think, willing to associate themselves with people who have been accused of these things because that's their ticket to a payday. You know, if you are in, you know, if you're in Bambaata's satellite universe or whatever, that's all you got. You know, that could be all you got as
That's
a,
how you ate.
I'm sorry.
Probably how you ate for the last 30 years. Yeah. No, I'm agree. I'm agree.
Yeah,
It's
so
like
I
that's
mean,
how
I
you ate
just-
for the last. That was your boy. Yeah. He goes on the road. You go on the road. You know.
So
But
So
that's
it's
yeah.
a
I mean,
hard
I think you know. I think it's like that. I think in any whether or not it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Baseball Hall of Fame, football, whatever it is, if you start, and again, I'm not necessarily even saying I'm against it, but I think it's just it opens up that critical question of like again separating someone who's talented from their talent and whether or not that's even possible, right? And
Yeah.
I think and I think there are some things that it's easier for certain people or certain of a particular political persuasion, some white supremacists like which as most of I mean used to sporting athletes have been or were, they're all in the Hall of Fame, and I'm just like, fuck them, right? So I like the building can burn tomorrow, and I wouldn't give two shits about it. But I'm sure there's folks who are like baseball purists, or I'm just using baseball as an example. They seem to be the most overtly white supremacists of all the sports or whatever. That like other people would moan it as like in terms of talking about their skills and what they contributed and how they brought this and this along, and all that would just be noise to me. It was like, do you know what this what they what they got them saying or doing or associated with? So I do. So I don't think it's an easy societal question to answer by any stretch of the imagination. I know that we definitely do have folks that we pick that symbolize like certain acts and things, and sometimes it's easier. And then there are folks who are gray areas, or who seem to be gray areas. But again, if you had the opportunity, whether we wanted to or not, to look at people's private lives or other parts of their lives. And again, I'm not equating everything that somebody does that is obviously immoral and illegal with other things that people do in their private lives. But when you start looking at that, it starts to be like, there's going to be a Hall of Fame of one. You know what I mean? It's going to be being really throw that one out, throw this one out.
I feel like the only way to get forgiveness from the people is you got to do something real big. Like even if you talk about Malcolm X's life before Detroit Red going to Malcolm X, it's like you've done something real big for your people. So all that stuff you did was forgiven. So I guess Afrika Bambaataa got to come out and do something real big for the people, even though his contribution was.
Right? And have some. Yeah. I'm not saying that if they're saying they're not guilty, which I'm assuming they are. I'm not suggesting that they said that they did something that they believe that they necessarily did not do, but again, like some people have stood up and said, "I was this, I did this, I should be held accountable." But these are the ways in which I'm moving forward or trying to get along with my life, or to have some changes happen. Yeah. And I think those people sometimes now would get more if people thought it was earnest or whatever, more of a pass. But I think
again, I can't get with that. Like again, these comparisons don't work for me. Malcolm being a drug dealer and a burglar is not the same as molesting children when you're already in your 30s. It's not even like Bambaataa was some teenager himself.
And a pimp.
I don't equate that. I don't think I equate anything with child molestation. And again, it's not like he was even 18, 19 and it was 17, 16 and that kind of silly stuff or relatively. This is children and you're in your 30s and you have an authority figure and you are.
And it depends on how old the women was.
Me. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Don't it depend on how old the women was he was pimping?
In fame.
That's child.
I'm not aware that Malcolm was ever accused of that level of abuse or child trafficking or anything like that. I'm not aware.
Would you say that person does not belong in the Hall of Fame then, though? Because of that, like in terms of their contributions to the art form, should you just not talk about them, mention them? Is it a blank? Is like you just don't say anything.
I think with this, he's too big to omit. So you would have to say, look, Bambaataa did this with the Zulu Nation, but then he did this also. I think you got to have it all in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got to have the testimonies from what was it, Ronald Savage and Hassan Campbell and whoever else has come out with their stories and whatever. And apparently, like, that's the other, like Bambaataa is part of what the report is saying, is that Bambaataa is still having his career to a certain extent and not even addressing the accusations. So that doesn't work for me either. Like you know, so, but yeah, but for me, for that, there's no coming back from this. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Like, I'm uncomfortable with all these other kinds of comparisons, but for me, this is these accusations are very specific. You have a specific lane for me, and I'm not.
Do we know if Bambaataa has ever said anything about the accusations individually, or are we like, is any? Maybe somebody in the chat might know.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever said anything. And if I remember correctly, again, I was reading too quickly and I did not finish it yet, but that report, because it's pretty long, the report says he's never spoken on it. So, and again, I don't know I don't know how that works either. I mean, I'm like, I can't imagine having people come out with, all of these allegations and you don't say anything and you just avoid it. You just ignore it.
Look mad guilty.
It does. It looks terrible. And then I remember there's that video clip. I think he was on Vlad TV when Melly Mel said something like, basically said, we all knew Bambaataa was doing it, but you got to remember Bambaataa was a gangster. And he was like, we weren't going to say anything because we weren't safe.
He did have all the gangs.
So
he had all the gangs.
I mean, and I hadn't really thought of it that way, because it's easy to be like, how you going to let this go down? How you going to stay? Where's all the people? But it's like, if the chief thug is doing it.
Right? What you going to say?
That's why even when we were on here before, and I remember Kim's argument is a strong one, that men have to do more to stand up to other men who are violent against women, whatever. But there's some reality here too. Like, I'm just thinking to myself, I can't be out here fighting every dude that is doing something wrong. I can't just be pulling up on every dude I see on a corner. I'm driving home from work in Baltimore and I see somebody doing something on the corner. I'm just going to pull up and start. What am I supposed to do? Like, it's like, and like I'm saying, if it is the chief thug, I don't know, man. So, I mean, but that's what Melly Mel was saying, all ripped up in his old, in his 60, 70 years old, all ripped up, talking about, we wasn't going to do nothing. It was, everybody knew, but man, Bambaataa was, and again, if you're 15, 16, 17, and he's in his 30s.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I had to come in on this hip hop talk, so I'll catch you on the next one.
I appreciate you. Anyway, come on. Anything you got that you saw?
Yeah. I got a story about a dirtbag.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So let me do this. Where's this? Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's it. What was that movie where the kids become fake superheroes and get beat? What was that movie? Anyway, that's what it feels like.
I can't remember. So it says anti-police.
Yeah.
Oh, anti-police activists in Atlanta's mayor's cabinet. So this is actually a story which is hilarious. About community movement builders. So apparently, a right wing. I should have set this up, but I was trying to support, like, a right wing columnist here in Atlanta actually wrote a story about community movement builders. And they did some research and found out that a board member of ours is actually the chief equity officer. I think that's the position. Yeah. Oh, sustainability officer in the mayor's office. Now, she was on our board way before that or whatever. And then they go off on a tangent and says, Chandra Farley, Atlanta's chief sustainability officer, who serves on the board of directors of the Radical Community Movement Builders, an openly anti-police group. If I were a cop or firefighter or EMT, I'd be pretty upset with Mayor Andre Dickens. The mayor has been until recently, at least, lukewarm in his public support of building the police. Well, he has not been lukewarm. So, but it says Community Movement Builders is one of the main organizations sympathizing with assaults on police, including the textbook March 5th stealth attack using children of stupid intowners as human shields for firebombs against the police state at an alleged music festival. It says Farley is right in the thick of this. CMB is a far-left organization founded a few years ago under some pretty shifty people and pretty shifty timelines by longtime professional dirtbag Kamau Franklin. Here's one word. Franklin, a seasoned Marxist-Leninist activist from the Freedom Road Socialists. Now, look, it's okay to call me a dirtbag. I've never been in the Freedom Road Socialists.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not you. That's Bill Fletcher and them.
I was going to say, can you get your light-skinned left organizers come?
Wait, that's messed up. All these, that's anti-Beijing, man. I don't appreciate that, man. Get it straight. We not all Bill Fletcher out here. That is hilarious.
Now, the reason I brought it because apparently she got a call from the mayor's office. Now, why this person is important to anybody, whoever this writer is, I never heard of him before they told me about it. But apparently she got a call from the mayor, personally from the mayor or the mayor's office or whatever. And they had meetings about it and told her she had to resign from our board in order to keep her position. So we like Chandra, so I'm not going to say too much, but she resigned from our board based on an article that should carry no weight whatsoever with anybody, even from the mayor's office, but they did. So it says showed up recently in Atlanta to organize the internationally coordinated opposition to the so-called Cop City. So I like that I showed up in Atlanta recently so I can organize internationally. I appreciate this. I appreciate this. The lift up of like what I am and what I do. It says his specialty is using Falk's environmental concerns to promote the abolition of police. Now he's speaking to the international media about how mad he is that they are not viewing the anti-Cop City movement as a local movement, even though he isn't a local. And even though the vast majority are not Georgians who have been occupying the forest near the site, trying to kill Atlanta police, spiking trees to kill construction workers and destroying construction vehicles. In any event, the question of the day remains, why did the mayor appoint Farley to one of his top cabinet positions? So yeah. So that's just a little quick piece or whatever.
So in addition to the other abuse of you and by extension all of us with this Bill Fletcher confusion, I know Cop City is theoretically or nominally supposed to also have space for EMT and firefighters, but I don't appreciate them throwing that in there. because I'm not aware of chants where people are saying fuck firefighters and EMT. So don't throw them in there. Like everybody's angry just randomly at everything. No, this is a specific.
And according to these articles, we're actually giving firefighters jobs because people are starting fires. So
exactly.
So what the fuck?
Keeping them busy, getting hurt.
So
and even getting shot. You know what I'm saying? For EMTs to come and pick people up in ambulances and whatnot. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You're doing everything for everybody. You know, the only other problem with this though, but part of the Bill Fletcher confusion though, Kamau, is your fault though. We got to keep it real.
What?
Because if you would more prominently hold up your association with BPM, they would have been talking shit about us instead of confusing you with some Freedom Road Socialists. What the hell is that? Anyway, but yeah, man, congratulations though, man. It must be, you know, it must feel somewhat good to be called a dirtbag by this high caliber.
No, yeah, that was one of the better ones. Like, you know, sometimes I'm assuming this is happening to you too at times, like with the online stuff with the right-wing fascists who occasionally find your page and then for a couple of days will be like 3 or 4 comments on something you said. Then they go away and they find your page again or whatever like that.
No, usually no. I don't get anything. The only thing that I get is dragged by Black nationalists and African-centered folks who think that I'm too much of a Marxist or supporting queer theory or whatever. That's really the only people who, or the reverse hashtag folks. There's a whole bunch of Jared Ball is opposed to reparations and Jared Ball wants Black people to stay poor. He doesn't support Black wealth, stuff like that. Those are the only the white folks. I haven't risen to be honored by their anger. You know what I mean? I haven't gotten to that level. So
well, we did like I mean the first of any like was with Black Hammer. Right before, right when they went crazy or crazier, and we were doing. This was actually during the summer where we all got together, and then they started attacking different organizations because of their theory of the white. I think it was like the white tears theory of like if they break up groups like the Party for Socialism and Liberation, those white folks would be in disarray, and then they would all join under the leadership of Ghazi, Black Hammer. And then at one point, they were attacking PSL, and then we moved the program into our community house, and because we did that, they started to attack us, including yours personally with some pretty, well-made but really upsetting flyers or whatever like that. So I think because PSL had some accusations within the membership, and I mean that like people who were accused of rape and stuff like that, they put out a flyer and called me a rape apologist.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? And then they started putting some stuff online, and then at some point it's like Brooklyn comes out and just like, oh, it's on. Let's just go for it. You know what I mean? So that was one of the only times recently where, like, with any strangers, people I didn't know, where I just was like shot for shot. It was like, whatever you say, it's like, you're stupid and you're in a cult. I just like kept laying it on. But that, so it's like that. But it's happened again because of the Cop City stuff. But usually I just ignore the fascists. Like, you know what I mean? Like they don't really bother me. Usually it's corny. And once in a while, somebody will get something off good, and you laugh, and then you just go like, oh, "Okay." Just keep
well, so but again, even the example you were just giving, the Black Hammer stuff, to me, it's different when they start doing stuff in movement spaces. Like that's the only thing that bothers me about the little bit I get. Like you're doing it in the spaces where I want to be. So if the white folks are doing it, I mean, who cares? I'm not trying to be on Rumble anyway. I don't give a damn. But whatever, but I want to build with Black folks and Pan-Africans and all this other stuff. So when I see that stuff and like consciously manipulating arguments or misrepresenting arguments, like that stuff does.
Yeah.
I start to want to find my inner Brooklyn or whatever is still, or whatever I would have, like it's like a little bit much. But the white folks, like the only time the closest it comes is like I still get associated because I was the one that did that interview with Patrisse Cullors when she said we're trained Marxists. And to this day, the white right will clip that and use that. And then because it'll say interviewed with Jared Ball, I get a tag and I see, and it'll sometimes say, she was interviewed by this other lunatic or, something like that. It'll just be some like side, hate left over from her. And I'm like, yeah, that's, but anyway.
Yeah, I like a little good hate every now and then. So,
congratulations to you. You the a high level dirtbag, man. Congratulations. Like, it's important. It's important. So, folks, just a heads up. Again, you're tuned into the Remix Morning Show here at Black Power Media. We got Kalonji Jamachanga is going to come up in the next hour with a special guest. So just be aware that that's coming. And but until then, we got a couple more minutes. Were there any other stories that you saw come out that rung out to you? And big shout out to Sister Erica for the populated run sheet.
Yeah. Well, we didn't get to all of them the other day. There was
That's
one.
the other thing. Yeah, we didn't get to all of
Yeah.
them.
So there was this one about the Texas schools.
Right.
Let me pull that up real quick.
All right.
And
yeah, your doctor said it's all good news this morning.
It's all good news.
Yeah.
Well, what's the news? Well, what's the news without some?
Yeah. No, but I don't know if we can always count on the brother for accuracy. But anyway.
It says Texas officials taking over Houston schools explain latest battle between blue cities and red states. And so what's happening here, if I can get away from all the pop-ups, of course.
Right.
It says a Texas state agency will take over authority of Houston school district due to poor performance. But some experts believe school takeovers do more harm than good. And so basically I'm going to get to the part of the story. The district was first informed of the takeover in 2019. The state's educational commissioner cited 7 consecutive years of poor performance from Wheatley High School, and a special investigation that found multiple board members violated state rules as for the reasons of the takeover. However, with an overall rating of B and a score of 88 on the state rating scale, HISD isn't the lowest performing Dallas Independent School district, has a score of 86, and San Antonio Schools District is 85. Greg Abbott supports the decision to hold the Houston and told Houston Chronicle would ensure the school will no longer be failing their students. And it says Democratic officials against the school takeover. It says Representative Ron Reynolds told the Houston Chronicle this was an attempt to promote what Abbott believes in, which Reynolds thinks is to push charter schools and school vouchers, not diversity, equity, and inclusion. Abbott has expressed support in allowing Texas residents to use tax dollars to send students to non-public schools. And so basically the framework for folks is that he's particularly choosing a black school, a public school, to take over in order to show that public schools are not functioning, so that they could push the privatization and or the charterization of schools and divvy those money out to charter schools as opposed to supporting public schools. And again, they're framing this within the long range of, if we look at what's happening in Jackson, where the state starts to go after majority black cities and in undemocratic ways begins to take over certain functions of those cities, i.e. in Jackson, policing, and all of a sudden the state has an interest in taking over the functions of fixing the pipes in terms of the water infrastructure, only because the federal government has finally put some real money behind fixing those things or making changes. Now all of a sudden the state says there should be a commission, and the commission will be dominated by state appointees to figure out who gets those contracts. And so when it's about the contracts and the money, you have the state stepping in and then making decisions on how these resources should get spent, because it fits into an ideological perspective that they have around controlling the resources. And then democracy, of course, is out the window. And all the things that they didn't care about for like the last 30 and 40 years, fixing infrastructure, putting money towards anything, when there's nothing for them to gain from it, then they don't care anymore. But when they see an opportunity to see something, then they jump on it.
Look, I know we don't have a lot of time for this right now, but anecdotally, having taught briefly at a public charter school, it is not the answer to any problems with the public school system. And there's a lot of contradictions, even within some nationalist circles, about what people think they can do with these charter schools in some black communities. But it's not. It's a money grab. It's a hustle. The students do not benefit. And as was the case with my school, they ended up shutting it down because the administrators were literally running off with all the money. So,
and then real quickly, they all the charter schools, they don't have to pay the minimum wage for teachers. They don't have to follow any unionization rules, credentials wise. They don't have to follow any sort of state standards for credentials or Board of Education standards for credentials. So it really is, they get to take the money It doesn't mean all the charter schools are bad, of course, but it does mean that they get to take the money which goes to public schools and use it the way they want to, which you're correct, which could be paying managers and higher education officials in that school huge salaries or bigger salaries. And they get those salaries by not paying the teachers what they get if they were to be teaching in public high schools or public schools, period.
Yeah. So anyway, shout out to Minister Server. He is absolutely right. There's zero reason for the views and likes to not be in accord. So hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, hit that join button, and support the platform and the show. And with that, we can get, well, I was trying to do the math. We're not quite there yet, but if you do that, we get a special mix from the Ear Doctor, who's back with us now.
Yeah. So get them likes up, y'all. Get some more people up coming through here, and we got y'all. Matter of fact, we got a real dope show. In case y'all didn't know, we got an interview coming up in a second. So let's go ahead and get to this break, and we'll come back right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. Let me show these suckers how to ball out here. Oh, man, let me get this together here. Oh, layup. Oh, no. Shot. Oh, three. Oh, it's like Brick City out here. Mid-range. Oh, my goodness. I can't buy a bucket out here. I missed the whole damn basket. Oh, my goodness. What's going on, man? My game is looking trash. Oh, here we go. Black Power Media shirt. Now we cooking. Tree. I'm taking on 3 of y'all with these right here. Between the legs. Oh, my goodness. Behind the back. Layup. Oh, and did he just do a reverse? He is in beast mode out here. I ain't got to look. It's falling. Oh, my goodness. This guy is going 3, 2, 1. Kobe. Nice. Black Power Media, baby. Nice. Empower yourself. Go get you some of that Black Power Media gear right here at blackpowermedia.org. Yeah. That dude is nice. What? Y'all ain't see them moves? Man, the behind the back with the... anyway, go check out that Black Power Media gear. Go ahead and get y'all, son. It's real dope. We celebrating 50 years of hip-hop. Real quick, I wanted to give an artist spotlight to no other than my man, Just Ice. When I talk about Just Ice right there, let me tell you a little bit about him. Well, Just Ice from the Giddy Up, also known as Joseph Williams Jr. He came straight out of Brooklyn, rapper. He started off being a bouncer at the clubs and stuff like that, but he hooked up with Mantronix and did his album Back to the Old School back in 1986. And then Mantronix left the label and KRS-One stepped in and did the production for Cool and Deadly album and also the Desolate one in 1989. He has over 5 albums. So listen, if you don't know, you better ask somebody. That's Just Ice, one of the first to call himself a hip-hop gangster. With that said, let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning crew. You know how we do. Big up Just Ice, and one of the first to bring forth the gods and the earths in hip-hop. All right? Let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning crew right now. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, Latoya. Latoya. Y'all know about that right there. Shout out to Just Ice in the building. What's going on, man? It's looking pretty hardcore today. You got Dr. Ball up in this month. It's good, man. It's Thursday. How y'all feeling?
Man, somebody amped. He got that extra hour of sleep.
Ready.
Word. Let's get to it then.
Anyway.
So what's coming up, man? You gonna free the land, man? You gonna solve all these issues for us, man? You got some answers for us, man? What's going on, man?
Man, look here, man. I was like, I was watching the show, and I'm just like, man, none of the sisters showed up today. What's going on, man? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, we need some balance. You know what I mean? So I called up one of the comrades that's been putting in work. Actually, I'm lying. She's supposed to have been on this show like 3 times already. Yesterday.
I know she popped on yesterday. And I was
she beat me here, right? Yeah. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn. It was like 1 minute left, and I'm like, man, I'm not even gonna be able to make it. But anyway, sister right here, she's the president of the Provisional Government of Republic of New Africa. Been putting in work for years. From the healing work, she was a student or certified by Laila Africa in regards to the whole holistic health situation. And shout out to him. Yesterday was his transition date. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to remember him. Yesterday was a serious date altogether. We lost Fife on that date. You know what I'm saying? We lost Chinua Achebe on that date. You know
And Dhoruba got out of jail on that date.
Dhoruba got out of jail. That was like one of the only good things about it. My sister Karen Mason here transitioned last year, so I wanted to, just put that out there. But anyway, the sister right here, she's been putting in work, and she has they have some things going on as far as Republic of New Africa, and I know that there are some citizens in the audience, so stay tuned. We'll be back with Sama Ats. Free the land, what's good?
Free the land, how are you this morning?
I'm alive on arrival. How's everything with you?
All is well,
Okay. We definitely honored to have you on this early in the morning. You know what I mean? Where you at? You like an hour behind?
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna get it popping a little bit. For folks who are new on the block, because of the fact that our platform, we try to reach folks from all walks of life. Some who are quote unquote political, some who are apolitical, and some who are just looking to find their way. When we say the PG, when we say PGRNA, what does that mean? And give us a brief history, if you don't mind, of what the Provisional Government Republic of New Africa is.
Okay, so the Provisional Government of the Republic of New Africa was formed on March 31st, 1968, where a delegate of just many, many different brothers and sisters that had been struggling for the longest in the civil rights movement and all that from all the different organizations. It didn't even matter. As long as you was highly melanated, you was invited. And literally they put that together in a 2-week time span. And so over 500 delegates showed up in Detroit, and they, discussed the situation back and forth. The whole goal was to create a Black nation, because they had found out that all remedies within this particular system had been exhausted, and they wanted to exercise their human self-determination. So they went ahead and created the Declaration of Independence, over that weekend. So that's the history. And ever since then, 55 years strong, it's been, a lot of things happening.
55 years. That's definitely, and it has definitely been a lot of things. Who were some of the players that were involved, because of the fact that it wasn't just any old Africans that came to the table. It was folks that were quote unquote prominent in our movement, folks who were freedom fighters and put in a lot of work. So for folks who aren't familiar, who are some of those people that were a part of the PG in the beginning?
Well,
stages?
Queen Mother Moore, who was one of the first signers of that Declaration of Independence. Betty Shabazz was present. You had the Milton brothers, which, Obadella brothers. You also had Joan Franklin. And then it's several others that their names are not coming to my mind at the moment, but it was some major key players that have been putting in work for years, like years upon years. And once you make it to that point where you done put in a lot of work and you see that it's not bringing the fruit that you want, you have to take other measures, and that was the other measure.
No doubt. So we've had I had a shout out to Mama Tamu. We had her on here talking about the RNA 11. And of course, we knew several of those folks. So there were definitely political prisoners. There was a situation that took place in 68, I believe, where there was a quote unquote shootout
Mhm.
where they were vamped on in Detroit. Can you touch on that a little bit, if you don't mind?
Yeah, hey, it wasn't it was we didn't create this our ancestors, our founding mothers and fathers did not create the this particular nation without resistance. So yes, they were attacked in Detroit. It did not, go with no issues, smooth, no issues back in 1968. Okay. There was a lot of situations happening. So
Yeah. So with the PG, there's because when we talk about nation, right? Because folks like you get the critics and they'll say, well, what do you mean it's a nation? You know what I'm saying? What do you mean by self-determination? Those are big words. How can you have a nation within a nation? Speak to that. What does it mean to be to have the Republic of New Africa? Because you have naysayers out there who would be like, well, is it the same as this or is it the same as that? And how can you have a nation? What does that mean?
well, if we all have the right to exercise self-determination, meaning if you have been oppressed by another people within a particular nation, you have the right, you have the human right to form your own nation. And to form a nation, you have to identify a landmass, which our landmass that we have identified is the 5 states in the South. You got Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia, South Carolina. That's the minimum, right? Because in our creed, we say all the land in America upon which we have lived and worked for a long time is land for us to use as a people. So that's the bare minimum. Those 5 states in the South, were chosen because, first of all, that's the land that our ancestors, the majority of our ancestors, bled on, suffered on, worked on, died on. So that's the land, and it's still highly populated with new Africans, with Black people that live here in America, and then of course it's by waterways, so it's easy trade, right? So that's the reason why those particular 5 states were chosen. I know it's a lot of back and forth in terms of, well, how come they didn't do this? How come? That's the minimal, y'all. Okay.
Right. I mean, usually it's folks who don't do anything talking about how come somebody didn't do something else, right? So we ain't gonna trip on that. When you say New African,
Mhm.
what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Because some folks will be like, well, what about the old Africans? What does New Africa mean?
Well, New African. Well, honestly and truly, once the first group of Africans, the first group of natives, the first group of aboriginals was stolen from their landmass, the nation of New Africa was created. Okay, that's that period. Because at that point, now we are we're a mixed. We're mixed. We're all mixed in together because of our historical reality of the transatlantic slave trade, right? So now we are one people. And so we have identified ourselves as being new Africans, right? Because we're one people now. The identification, our identification to be able to say, okay, we come from the Pawnee, we come from the Yoruba, we come from the Igbo, we come from the Apache, we come from whatever, that's been lost. You know, that we all mixed in. So now we call ourselves, we are new Africans, and every Black person that has a lineage from the transatlantic slave trade is considered new African. You're considered new African. Now, you are automatically a citizen, yet a conscious citizen is a person that is consciously knows that they are a citizen of the Republic of New Africa. Then you have a conscious citizen worker who is actually putting in work to build the Republic of New Africa. So those are the differences.
Right on. So, we I interviewed Barbara Herman Ferguson and Ialua Ferguson some years ago, and one of the things that Barbara Herman was telling me was that he was talking about the New Bethel situation, right? When they were vamped on, and he said that one of the things that happened, he talked about the security, right? And how it was because of certain individuals that that there was no casualties on the side of the new Africans, right? On the
Mhm.
side of the African people, right? So one of the stories he told me, he said it was a 14 or 15-year-old Dr. Matulu Shakur, who wasn't doctor at the time, who, as the guns, as the bullets was coming through the church, he threw Baba Herman and Ialua down on the floor and laid on top of them to make sure that, to protect them.
Right.
And here he was, like I said, he was, barely a teenager,
Hmm.
but he had the heart, to do what it is he needed to do. And shout out to Dr. Matulu Shakur, who's been released recently. But I want to say that I want to ask you, when you talk about, because again, we have naysayers, and you talk about, a nation. We know that you can't have a nation without a military, right?
Right.
So, can you speak to that? Is there a military? Is there any type? Because I know we talk about the past, and we often get folks talking about, yeah, we don't do this, and ain't nobody doing that. And, what I'm saying? It's usually, again, folks that don't do jack diddly shit, but they're quick to tell you about what nobody's doing. Can you speak to that? Is there some type of formation, or is it just like you all walking around with your fist up and a few signs? What's going on?
Oh no, this particular nation and the formation and the structure of it is extremely organized. Um, we have what you call AG, above ground, and then you have that which you can't speak of, right? I mean, that's how this particular nation is set up, and this is how the citizens set it up. The above ground formation is, of course, the Legionnaires, and then of course you have the New African Security Forces. That's the above ground formations, and then you have the
Right.
other.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Um, no, that's cool. That's cool in the gang. Along with that, one of the things that Garvey talked about, there was a song back in the day, and they talked about, the paraphrase. White folks said that these racist crackers talked about how every nation had a flag except for the coons. You know what I'm saying? And Garvey came with a flag, right?
Right.
I want to talk about what are the colors of the new African flag, but also, it is positioned a little different the way it's laid out. So I
Right.
want to if you could touch on that.
Right. Well, in the spirit of Marcus Garvey and him and his delegates writing the Declaration of Universal Negro Rights, they said our flag is of the color of red, black, and green. And when this particular nation was formed, because there was a lot of Garveyites, Queen Mother Moore being one of them, um, they wanted to stick with those colors, yet represent the Republic of New Africa. So since the goal is land, you got green first, then you got red, which is a small amount in the middle, then you have black, right? So green for the land, of course, the red is for the blood, and then black is for the people. People being the foundation. This is a people's nation, so therefore the people is the foundation of this particular nation. The foundation of the nation is the New African family. So we are the ones, as a people's nation, we are the ones that have to build it. This is not a situation where you're looking outside of yourself to see something get done. And then that's how we've been conditioned as New African people. So in this particular nation, you got to put in that work.
Right. So with that, because we always enjoy the putting in work part. You know what I mean? Some of us that actually put in work, right? I wanted to ask you, like, because the work is key. You know what I'm saying? It's political education, it's the work, it's the theory, and it's the practice, right? What got you, what sparked your interest in the Republic of New Africa? Why did you, quote unquote, become a conscious citizen and a worker? And how did you become the president? And what does that mean?
Okay, well, um, I actually started UG, right? I was never even supposed to be seen or heard from. Okay. I went through rigorous unit work study and training where we went over the foundational documents. We also worked on specific community projects. So it's never you just reading and you're not applying. We worked on specific community projects within this unit, and we also did training. All new African citizens should, conscious citizen workers should be a part of a particular unit, because within that particular unit, you learn how to, you transform into becoming new African. This is a process, because you are literally saying, I am stepping 100% out of this particular paradigm of capitalism, racism, white supremacy, to build our own system that looks absolutely nothing like it. So what does that mean? We have to change the way that we move, the way that we see ourselves, the way that we see the world, right? You have to go through that transformation, and you have your comrades there in that particular collective to hold you accountable. Accountability, constructive work, constructive self-criticism, constructive criticism, constructive self-criticism. It's a constant thing. That's where that transformation happens. And the medicine is actually in the work, because now you're developing new habits, right? And everybody is required to go through training, survival training, weapon training, martial arts, all of those different things. That was a requirement, So when that was a few years, right? I went to an above ground event, and I saw that our nation was in trouble. It's like, what are we doing all of this work for? We don't have nothing to protect. Things have been, you can tell a lot of infiltration had taken place. Let's be real about it. I think all of our organizations and different have went through that, right? And so our assignment is to come and clean house. And it has taken, it's taken some work, but right now we at a particular, I feel like we're on the upswing now, right? And I didn't plan on running for president at all. Like, in my mind, that's something I was going to do in my 50s, 60s, like as an elder, right? But you do what's necessary, so I just did what was necessary to save, to save the formation of the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa. You know what I mean? Like, I could not see it not doing it, because, this is my blood responsibility. And I'm standing on the shoulders of all of the ancestors in the political prisons who have put their life on the line for this. And it's my job to protect it. So I just take that seriously. And that's the reason why I went ahead and ran for president, because I didn't see no other way. Like, there was no other options at the time.
No doubt. Well, we definitely appreciate your work, your energy, and your effort. It's refreshing to see folks that do more than talk revolution, right? We get a whole lot of theory. Folks can tell you, what came first, the pyramid or the egg. You know what I'm saying? They could tell you, what color, how many buttons was on Huey's shirt, and what kind of dress Asada had on in 1974. Right. But when it comes to that work, you know what I'm saying? Everything, it's silent, it's darkness, right? 55 years of the RNA, right? Coming up, or we're here, we're on the cusp. So there's a commemoration coming up. If you don't mind sharing that with our audience, tell us what's going on and how folks can get involved.
Yes. Okay. So we are celebrating 55 years this year in Charleston, South Carolina. It's New African Nation Day 55. You can go on Eventbrite, type in New African Nation Day. Once you type in New African, it should pop up, right? You can go ahead and register for the whole event if you want to actually come to South Carolina, March 31st through April the 2nd. That's right around the corner. We will be in South Carolina that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can also, if you can't make it there physically, you can also go online and you can register for the Zoom. Yes. So we'll be there. We've reached out to a lot of different elders, a lot of different brothers and sisters that's been doing the work in different areas. So they're going to be basically discussing with the with the brothers and sisters, the comrades that do come, different aspects of what they've been doing. And New African Nation Day is really about touching base, with what's going on, so everybody can be aware, because it's extremely important that we have a united front, so that we're not reinventing the wheel. You know what I'm saying? It's about putting systems in place and duplicating them, the ones that we've found to be beneficial and productive.
No doubt. Well, we're looking forward to to checking out the activities, the festivities. Shout out to all the citizens, all the comrades out there who we both know have been putting in work and go beyond the lip service. I'm grateful to like I said, to all African people who continue to build this movement.
Mm-hmm.
So we appreciate you coming on, and man, stay strong and let's continue to build.
No doubt. I am.
No doubt. So you're checking out. This was Sama on the Remix Morning Show. Stay tuned. We'll be right back at you in a minute.
They say when you wear Black Power Media gear, you can accomplish anything. You can play any and every position. From coaching, to kicking, to receiving, to running and juking. And, oh my goodness, I see that again in slow motion. Get off me. And you're going to have a lot of haters coming at you, but what you got to do is you got to shake them off, and get to your goal and accomplish it. And when that's done, it's a beautiful thing. I'm talking about going hard, extra, for that extra point. And when it's done beautifully, you talking about touchdown. Oh, and the crowd goes wild and they're celebrating with you and everything. Man, let's see that again. Nice.
Black Power Media, baby. That's how we do it.
Now go to blackpowermedia.org and get you some of that gear. Empower yourself today. Yeah.
Yo, the Philadelphia Eagles is like, call him up, put him down with Hurt. Word. That's what it is. We are taking a quick break right here on the Remix Morning Show and getting back with our host. What we wanted to do is give a quick shout out to one of our own that represented for the culture, no other than Lance Reddick. Brother just made his transition the other day. That's right, made his transition the other day straight out of Baltimore. He's an actor and musician. You might have seen him in The Wire. You might have seen him in the John Wick movies. So many. He's done over 50 films, over TV. He's been on all of them. He came straight out of Baltimore. Like I said, he attended Friends School of Baltimore. He studied music at the Peabody Preparatory Institute of Music and Theory, and then at the Walden School. So he was pretty much into his music thing, and then wound up going and getting his acting. He got a Master's of Fine Arts degree in 1994. So the brother's put in his work. So we like to give a big shout out and thank you as he made his transition to him and his family. And big up to Lance Reddick. Now with this, let's go ahead and get back to our Remix Morning crew. You know how we do. All right, let's go. Mm-hmm.
When was he at Baltimore Friends School?
When was he at Baltimore Friends
School? You have that in front of you?
Yeah, he was at Baltimore Friends School.
I think I got it.
At whoa, I'm not fast enough for you.
Oh no, I was trying to help you out there with. The
oh no, I think you was pulling up his ex-wife.
Oh wow,
not his ex-wife. The same. There's something, you know.
It don't say, but they said around in the 80s, before the 80s or something like that.
Is it too soon? Should I not be doing that? Is it too soon? I just want to know if it's too soon. If it's too soon, I'll take it down. If it's too soon.
That's what's going on in Baltimore. Let me find
that's what's happening in Baltimore.
That's what's going on in these YouTube streets. Let me
Now we
find
talked
out.
about how sometimes you live longer because you're married. There's some reasons why you might not live as long, depending on who you marry. But that's just me. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't got no evidence of the fact of anything. You know, I'm not saying foul play. Allegedly, I'm not saying anything. I'll stop sharing now. I don't want to go too far. I don't want to.
Oh my goodness, you ain't
I don't
right.
even know what to say. I mean, we go from free to land to that.
Hey, I mean, I didn't bring the topic up.
Hey, full spectrum
oh,
blackness
the
here on Black Power Media, Kalanji. We got we you know, from
That's
free to
all.
land to I don't know. I got to
Yeah.
think about some jokes, man. I'm not moving fast enough on that one. I wasn't ready. That was slick, Kamal. I got to give it to you on that one.
It
I
was,
thought
you
you
know
were
what
gonna
I'm
pull up the
saying? That was
timeline. That was slick.
Hey man, look here. I don't even know what to say. You know what I'm saying?
Can't take
Yeah.
this dude nowhere.
Nah, you
Nowhere.
can't.
I'm trying to help.
You know, that's
And I mean, have you ever thrown the football before? When you threw that ball, can y'all put that? You might have to put that clip up.
No,
You
we
never
don't. We're
thrown
not
the
playing that
football.
again.
I like how you doing reruns of the commercial, like every, you know what I'm saying?
I
felt
did.
like I'm on Tubi or some shit. Like, yo, like,
you know.
and then I just see that commercial. Be like, oh, look here. I'm like, oh, boy.
I never played that commercial on the remix morning, so I thought I, go ahead and play
Do
a
a
couple.
hockey one, son, or a
Yeah,
hockey
played it.
one.
Oh, okay.
You got to do a baseball one. Come on now.
Just stop using copyrighted material like in the
Please.
other one.
Yeah,
Oh, which
Yeah.
one?
The other one keeps getting claimed.
yeah.
The other commercial you
seen
did.
this flag. Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
I'll
You
work on
know,
that.
really, like Jared's the producer. Yes.
Because I
I'll
run
do
the
my-
commercials on all my shows.
Yeah.
And they
that's
kept
why I'm
getting
like,
banned. They kept getting strike.
You're trying to figure it out.
Right.
Strike.
so that-
I'm like,
That's the-
damn, what I do?
what's this? The basketball one or the football one?
The other, whatever the other one is.
Might as well be baseball, them damn strikes.
The,
But
the
anyway,
one you
whatever,
did not
man.
play today.
I played both of them.
Oh, well, then one
Yeah,
of
you
the,
did.
the basketball one is the only good one. The football one is going to gets a copyright hit.
So,
So
all right.
now we
I'll
figured
work
it
on
out. So we can't do politics or ear doctors commercials, or we'll get flagged. We'll get banned. This is horrible.
I think the flag is like how he was throwing the ball, though. I think that was the
That's
they
what
were
it
like
was.
no football. No one
Flag
believed
football.
that was
I'm
like a
gonna
real
I'm
football.
gonna do a CeeLo commercial for Black Power Media
So-
next.
But
You
it's
kinda look
funny.
like CeeLo.
Huh?
You kind of look like CeeLo. You like
Whatever.
CeeLo if he lost a lot of weight and lost.
4, 5, 6. Let's go. What you about to say, boy?
Well, what I was really going to say was, and especially now that Kamal pulled up the picture, that because I also went to Baltimore Friends, but on the way to them putting me out, like that was, I would remember that being a moment in my development where I was overtly not wanting the white girls.
Wait. So Jared, are you trying to say that? Are you coming with your Ray J? Like I had her first. Is that what you saying?
No, I'm saying the exact opposite. I'm saying I left Baltimore Friends looking for sisters, and
Was that the school though that did the thing? That was with the psychologist. That was the one you got.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
What school haven't you been kicked out? Oh, the
Still
one
bad.
you're at now.
I've only been. No, I'm. You
What
know.
institution?
And he keeps trying to get thrown out of Morgan State, but I think that that tenure thing is like it's
The tenure thing
holding
is the
up
only
strong
thing.
for him.
Tenure and my wife making all the money is the only thing keeping me in Baltimore right now. So
Nice.
This
Yeah.
brother asked me the other day, how do I feel working with so many professors? I'm like,
it's
these
only
motherfuckers,
one.
yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh,
Look at
really?
that.
Yeah, my bad. Right here.
Okay.
I was talking about on here. I was talking
Like,
about on here.
there's only really one.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
He's
That's how you
claiming
meant
this
that.
shit
That's
like,
how you meant.
I'm the only one.
Pick up your chest. Pick up your
I'm the
chest.
only Negro on this staff.
Now, if they would have asked about how many doctors you work with,
I can't even tell my joke anymore. Where I
I'm
said
sorry,
I
man,
only
go ahead.
wanted my doctorate acknowledged because I was still paying for it. I can't
Mm.
even tell it no more.
Look at
That's
that.
Paid for it. I saw that. Okay.
Zeros, son.
Okay. See, that's how you know Jared ain't all the way black, because you wouldn't have paid the student loan. How the shit is that?
I didn't. I didn't.
He actually
That's
did.
I know.
didn't.
I'm saying you wouldn't. You know,
Oh. No, I didn't. And in fact,
Okay.
I figured it out. I've started doing the math. I'm less excited. Like the older the more the day went on yesterday, the more angry I got. Because I was like, because it has a line in there saying, part of it is in respect for your service in the military. That was part of their decision to forgive the loan. And I'm like, It's like reparations. It's never enough. You still owe me. God damn it. That 4 years was worth way more than all of that student loan money.
Just don't do a crazy letter. Don't do no letter.
Oh no, no, I'm good. No,
Ought to be done.
Let it go. Let that one go. Let that
I'm
one
like
go.
Kamau said yesterday. I'll take the $5 million.
Man,
Exactly.
Man.
Reparations.
Was that the NAACP piece? I missed the joint.
Yeah. I was like, I don't understand. I mean, $5 million per person. If they work that out correctly, I'll be like, why would I not take the? Yeah, y'all better not stand in the way of the $5 million, B. That's a lot of money.
$5 million per person is what they said. NAACP said it's
That's
not
how I read it. And then I mean, it was all theory. It was all theory, but basically, it was saying it would be $5 million per person of San Francisco Negroes could get reparations. And the NAACP stepped up in there and was like, oh no, give that money to the institutions to build institutions. But I'm kind of like, you know what? Again, this is all theory because they're not really doing it.
Right.
But if they had worked something out where it's $5 million per person in San Francisco, no black organization, I don't care, no organization better step in. As I said yesterday, it wasn't NAACP that was enslaved.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? I'm like, yo, B, you cannot step in at that stage when it's $5 million per person.
I mean, I'm confused as to how the NAACP became the spokesperson for African people. That's the shit that's wild to me. It's like we're not taking. Who the fuck is we? Get your pronouns. What you talking about? Hey, listen, man. these cats is crazy, man. They colder than the white man for real.
I mean, they still call themselves colored people. I mean, what do you expect?
Hey, man.
It's battles you can't fight.
But as I saw, I used to know somebody that used to do race and economics for them and was told specifically that the colored is not just black people anymore.
Mm.
It's the NAA, like it's the NAA.
When was it black people all together?
Well,
I mean, because
at least theoretically, it was supposed to be for black people, even if it was there were white colleagues involved. But now they were overtly saying when you produce your economic and race data, you can't just make it about black people because the NAACP has more than just black people in it. It's now Asian and Latino and whatever else they're throwing in there.
But the NAACP is slick with that shit. They know they're a black organization. They'd say that's for the outside world. Inside, they all like, we holding on to this shit.
I'm sure there's a funder connected to that was like, I need to see some diversity in your black organization before I give you.
And for a while, they started trying to use the tag. They started trying to have themselves called the association. Like the nation, like they tried to be called. It was like, wow, for that. You take that color shit out your name.
Nice try, right?
You are still a Negro.
Take the color thing out your name, or just put something else.
That's
shout out to Robert Williams, though, man. You know what I'm saying? Robert Williams. At one point, I thought that I remember going to my father like, "Yeah, I'm gonna join the NAACP because you know what I'm saying I'm gonna change it." Because I read about Fred Hampton being the junior chair of the Chicago chapter of the NAACP, and of course Robert Williams and all that. And I'm thinking I'm all deep and shit. I'm talking to my father. He's sitting there eating his chicken with some African hot sauce, and he listening to me and shit. I said, so yeah. He said, oh yeah. He said, then I just ran down the whole damn joint. He said, I said, well, what you think about it? He said, hey man, when there's 14 stories in the building and 13 of them are on fire, you don't go get a bucket of water to try to put it out. He said, you get the hell out the building. You know what I mean? So he just crushed my shit all together. So I'm sitting there so from there, I knew that the NAACP was not for me. You know what I'm saying?
They should, I guess maybe they don't want the association, NAACP, like too much Black Power or Black Panthers. NAACP. It just don't roll off your tongue now.
I mean, but I appreciate that though, because at least they're drawing a line in the sand and they're telling us who they are, and there's no confusion. You know what I'm saying? I'd be mad as hell if they changed their name to Black Power. You know what I'm saying? Shit. So that's just me. So thank you, NAACP, and keep up your Negro work. And there's some good folks in the NAACP though, man. So I know, there's a few of them. So.
It seems like those are the type to be like, I am not a nigger, I'm a Negro.
They would, yeah.
Hey man, it's a beautiful thing in the neighborhood.
Oh my goodness. I'll let y'all get back to it.
All right, right on. Speaking of which, we did have these, and reparations, enslavement. We
Right.
got this story here, and now I got the pop-up issue. A Florida town once set. Look at that. A Florida town once settled by former slaves now fights over sacred land. This coming out of CBS News.
Mhm.
Wow, at first glance, I thought that was the CIA symbol. That's deep. If you go like this, look at it. Anyway, that's
I mean, it
this
probably
sacred.
is.
This this is sacred land, said N.Y. Natiri, a third-generation resident of Eatonville, Florida. It is special for us. It's who we are, and we are not going to let them take it away from us. No. Natiri heads the Association to Preserve the Eatonville Community, a town founded in 1887 by Joe Clark. That it even happened was remarkable. After the end of the Civil War, formerly enslaved African Americans flocked to Central Florida to work. White property owners refused to sell them land until Clark convinced two white Northerners with homes in the area, Lewis Lawrence and Josiah Eaton, to make available plots they could buy in what became Eatonville, one of the first Black towns to incorporate. Now, wait a minute. So I thought Eatonville was also associated with Zora. Yeah, okay. So right, it's associated with Zora Neale Hurston. I thought it was because of something she wrote, not just because of where she's from. And now, so I'm additionally irritated by the Busboys and Poets chain, because in DC they have the sister restaurant called Eatonville, which is, again, it's symbolic Blackness owned by a non-Black person, and now here, to come to find out, it's named after a white Northerner.
Right. I mean, like most of the Black universities, and you know. But listen, real quick though, the thing that annoys me, don't move it yet.
Nope.
The thing that annoys me is it says formerly enslaved African Americans. When you go to the title, it says former slaves, right? So if you know that there's a difference between being enslaved and being a slave, why aren't you consistent with that? You understand what I'm saying? I think that we need to start going after the press and all these other folks when they call African people slaves. I think it's very important. We're politically correct with everything else, but we accept whatever they say to us. You know what I'm saying? The African was never a slave, you know, so we got to be clear on that. So that's in the title. So that this is like, you know, this is for our true viewership. You know what I'm saying? You Negroes were slaves, so you ex-slaves. You know what I'm saying? You weren't enslaved,
right?
And so, you know, terms matter.
But just to be fair to Martha Teichner, it may be, because this is often the case, that she didn't write the headline. The editor did the headline. And it could be that she attempted to do the enslaved African thing, and then the editor was like, nah.
Too long. We're not doing that.
Too long. Put slaves in there. We like that better anyway.
And to call them formerly enslaved African Americans.
American.
When they were enslaved.
That part.
When they were enslaved, there was, you know, there was no amendments or whatever. They were purely kidnapped Africans who were enslaved. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's one of those things I too, like, I don't have a lot of pet peeves around certain language, but I was like, anytime if I make a mistake, and if I say when we were slaves, I got to correct it right away. I'll go back.
I don't like it. Yeah.
I hate. Yeah.
Right.
I'm always
like word. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the fetus out the gate, like as if we're saying that we were animals or livestock or whatever the case is. No, this is what they attempted to do. You know what I'm saying? You know, you weren't. You don't say that. You know, I'm formerly raped. This is like, no. This is, you know, I was a victim. And this is, you know, it is a form of victimization, and it continues with it. So they're struggling today, they're saying?
Eatonville today is struggling. The median income is around $27,000 a year. A Family Dollar is the only store. There's no supermarket, no gas station, no pharmacy. What's different about Eatonville is perhaps the anthropologist and noted writer Zora Neale Hurston, who grew up there. She was the great teller of Eatonville's story. What we have the ability to do here is to leverage the genius of Zora Neale Hurston and the authenticity of Eatonville as a cultural and historical space, said Natiri. Maybe they should talk to the owner of Busboys and Poets on how to
exploit a name
to leverage the genius of Zora Neale Hurston. Come on now, They're not exploiting, they're leveraging the genius.
There's
Oh
always like
man.
one of these weird things to me. Like anytime, like these days too, any town that, and so many of them, right? That there's a um historic event in which Black folks were killed in mass. Now these days, whether, and you know, whether or not we're talking not even killed, but like Selma, like people were beat up, to places like Tulsa or whatever. Now that's like these commemoration either ceremonies and museums, which leads to people selling trinkets, which leads to stores, which is about tourism, which again doesn't always, and or most of the time doesn't benefit either the victims, their lineage, and or the current townspeople, because it all goes to either some state profit or whoever's running the nonprofit. And very rarely do you know where those resources go in terms of uplifting the folks who are actually, again, descendants of those victims, and or the folks who remain in a town who struggle because folks don't, it's like it's, you know, it's capitalizing off the name and not doing anything about sort of the economic conditions of the people.
And if you look here at these next two paragraphs, they actually speak to a lot of my own, you know, particular interests and work, and say a lot. So check this out. So Zora tourism exists already with Zora Neale Hurston Museum. The Zora Festival, which Natiri's Preservation Group puts on every year, regularly attracts over 50,000 people before COVID, fewer now. So, but again, so I would suspect that most of these 50,000 are Black folks who have less to spend and less revenue to generate for this tourism industry, which is going to be dwindling a little bit after COVID. So that's one thing in terms of this argument around Black people having Black businesses, which of course target Black audiences. And then how many people are really going to be bringing a whole bunch of money to spend on Zora tourism, with all due respect. But then even here, but Eatonville would like to leverage something else. 100 acres of land, 10 minutes from downtown Orlando, half an hour from Disney World, valued at more than $20 million in 2019, certainly worth much more now. Natiri said, as a small community of 2,500, it's sitting on the largest undeveloped parcel of land in Orange County. It's sitting in a very sweet position geographically. But again, not knowing all the details, admittedly, they would still have to get permission from local legislators for use of the land. They would have to have venture capital investment to develop the land. They would have to get involved with my little village board issue, contractors who are going to come in with their billions and say, we'll develop it if you give us the equity that accrues from it. All that kind of, like, it's not as simple as even saying we have land or we should take over land. Like, you could end up with a bunch of land that you can't even develop.
And if they do develop it really quick, who's going to buy it? Who's going to buy?
I mean, that's right.
And so you wind up gentrifying it because if you just use it strictly from a capitalist model, you're going to have to sell to the highest bidder to pay off all those expenses that you've incurred because you've done real estate development the traditional way. And then who buys all that property? And you wind up not even with the intention of doing it. But when you start building luxury homes or homes which are 20 minutes away from Disney, and you think that's the big come up, if that plan is not really solid, if that plan does not account for paying back without the highest resources, you do exactly what you think you're not doing, which is you ensure the gentrification of the very property you were trying to protect or hold on to. But you also make a few people rich by doing it who have no intent whatsoever of spreading that wealth around. But again, like you said, not knowing all the details, but that is an overt concern if it's not considered, and or if it is considered by a few. Some people, again, will use the Blackness as a way to say, oh, we're doing this for the town, not accusing these particular folks of doing it because they don't know them. But people will say that. And in the meantime, there's a few people who are benefiting from the selling of that land. So.
And apparently it's the Orange County public school system that is ultimately in control of the land. And Julian Johnson, who wears a t-shirt bearing the hashtag land back, is not the only Eatonville resident who thinks the Orange County public schools ought to just give the land to Eatonville as a kind of restitution. This is economic justice that we're fighting for, he said. Land is economic justice. It's about demanding it back. You've done the people wrong over and over. Actually, I think it's timely that we're doing this right after that last interview. the differences between organizing and taking over versus making a really,
Quest.
unfortunately, a largely empty demand that can't really be
Right.
backed up with anything.
Hey, man.
Um,
On that, I say shout out to Queen Makeda, shout out to Nzinga, and all these African women warriors who fought to maintain and take back land. I think that, unfortunately, the hashtag, when you talk about land back, it sounds good in theory, but you have to ask yourself, what are we willing to do? You know what I'm saying? How many requests can we make? How many times do we say that, okay, because this is this, then we should get that? I mean, it's sad to a great extent, because it's not even a real, like you said, it's empty. So what kind of muscle can we put behind this? That's the question at hand.
I mean, look at this is exactly the issue that, again, my little village center issue was dealing with. The last 100 acres set to be sold on March 31st to a developer, here unnamed, for $14 million. Well below their last appraisal issue. Johnson helped to mobilize for a showdown. The only control Eatonville has over what gets built is through its zoning and planning. Last month, the town council met to vote on changes that would clear the way for a new community of more than 350 homes and apartments. This is exactly what's happening here. Derek Bruce, an attorney for the developer, told the council meeting, once the project is built out, it will offer shopping, dining, entertainment options for residents and visitors to partake and enjoy. What they don't tell you is that all the wealth that ends up accruing from all of that business, tax, equity in the property is going to go to that developer, and the people are going to have nothing. That is deep. This is, oh man.
And that's what they always do. They're bringing the developer, they're bringing the lawyer, they're bringing the lobbyist. They bring it back. Bring it back to that part.
Yep.
They're bringing the lobbyist, the lawyer, they're bringing the developer themselves. If they think the developer is smooth enough, they're bringing in the consultant. The consultant is usually a former city council person. The consultant is usually some high profile, and in a lot of cases when they're trying to persuade Black folks, some high profile preacher, somebody who they've given like a few $1,000s to, so that they could be the public face of this, right? And this exact, I've heard it over and over again in any city council meeting I've attended, neighborhood association. Once the project is built out, it will offer shopping, dining, entertainment. It's like a standard line of what they do to make you think you are somehow going to get some comfort, some resource, some value from the fact that someone is taking over the property and land in your community, and that they're going to sell you expensive dinners. And remember, they're not really selling it to you. They're going to be selling it to those new folks who are coming in there. And then they also promise you a few jobs, right? And the jobs is that you're going to be the wait staff, which they don't usually hire you anyway from the neighborhood. But it's that you're going to be the wait staff, the bus boy, you might be a manager. That's the constant, that's how they package it over and over again. So,
and that's who will live in the roughly 10 to 12 affordable housing units that they include in the 350. Like we gotta put the dishwasher gotta have somewhere to live. So they throw that in.
Yes, man. But along with it, it's the irony as well is just like when we talk about gentrification. Of course, the original victims of gentrification in this country are the natives, the natives that existed here. And the fact that they're still in Florida, you know what I'm saying, which was highly populated with natives, is the wildest shit. They never stop. So meanwhile, we're fighting for a piece of the pie that wasn't intended for us in the first place. You know what I mean? And you're talking about 30 minutes away from Orlando? Yeah, right. You think they're even paying attention to you? That's a resort. That's a for all practical purposes, an extension of whatever resorts exist inside of the Orlando and Orlando area. I mean, this is about to be everything but what they're saying it is. And affordable housing, what does that mean nowadays?
This is a little clip, if we want, that Erica provided for us, that is it looks like we can hear from one of the activists themselves about talking about land as an economic justice. It's about demanding it back.
The Orange County school system was paid nearly $8 million in those deals. You have hashtag land back on your sleeve.
Yes. nobody has made enough noise, and nobody has demanded the land back.
Julian Johnson isn't the only Eatonville resident who thinks the Orange County Public Schools ought to just give the land to Eatonville as a kind of restitution.
This is economic justice that we're fighting for. Land is economic justice. It's about demanding it back. You've done the people wrong over and over.
So, with those last 100 acres set to be sold on March 31st to a developer for $14 million, well below their last appraised value,
I'm from Eatonville.
Johnson helped to mobilize for a showdown.
The streets are talking, the people are talking, and the people are angry and furious.
The only control Eatonville has over what gets built is through its zoning and planning. Last month, the town council met to vote on changes that would clear the way for this, a new community of more than 350 homes and apartments.
Once the project is built out, it'll offer shopping, dining, entertainment options for residents and visitors to partake and enjoy.
The packed room didn't see it that way.
Quite simply, this development will erase this living, thriving historical community.
For y'all to come and put all this stuff up here and think we as Black people gonna be able to stay here, shame on yourself.
We're gonna be outnumbered, and I want you guys to vote no.
They did. But the developer can still buy the site and build, so long as it's something consistent with Eatonville's vision for the town's survival. In a statement to Sunday Morning, the Orange County Public School System reaffirmed its commitment to go ahead with the sale. No word yet from the developer. For Eatonville residents, a lawsuit may be next.
So because nobody would name the developer, I did quickly look it up, and apparently this is the developers, and I love that their name is Sovereign Land Company.
Right. Look at this sovereign white ass.
Yeah. So I mean, there's not a lot on this website, but this is apparently the group.
I mean, but look at the places he's worked. So he's a career criminal. Wells Fargo, Fifth Third Bank, and I always had a problem with Fifth Third because this shit always, every time I see it, I see 3/5.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Every time I see that shit,
oh,
I'm
that's
like,
slick. That's what it is.
yeah,
I bet that's what it is
Get
too.
the fuck out of here, because they're all in Georgia. Every time I see it, I'm like, I wish I would bank with you motherfuckers. SunTrust, Bill Bank. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is what
Hanover
he does.
Capital. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you showed the clip because it showed at least the town and the organizers fighting back, had a strategy, had a plan, and they've
But
done.
look at the Negro they propped up, though.
Say it
Look at
again.
the Negro. I said, look at the Negro that they propped up.
Oh, yeah.
They should have jumped up. What would have been really grand if they'd have jumped up and slapped the shit out of him in the middle of the meeting.
Well, and maybe they'll take it to the next level, which will like maybe they'll take over the land and make the police try to remove them, make it even more of a national thing. So, but I gave but seeing the video helped put in perspective that folks at least understood what the ramifications were. A lot of times you get these cities and towns and these local neighborhood association folks who they may get a little something, little capital here and there, or they're just convinced that somebody in a nice shiny suit means them well, and will frequently go with the okie doke and be like, oh yeah, bring that in because that's good for us. And it's like, that's not for you. That's not, don't get it twisted. That's not
even think about it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad, like you said, that they actually organized and stood up, because in so many cases it's like a they take it, they lay down and take it. But definitely grateful. You had Dick Gregory, third cousin removed. He stood up, his beard got a little longer and shit. You know what I'm saying? It was cool to see, man. I'm like, damn. He's like, y'all not gonna take my land, goddamn it. So I appreciate that. Shout out to all the Black folks out there, the elders, the OGs that show these young bucks how to do this thing. They still out there. They ain't just taking it. You know what I mean? For those of y'all talking about something, I ain't my grandparents. We know you ain't your grandparents, sucker. But anyway, don't mind me.
Yeah, I always hated that line too.
I can't stand that shit.
Yeah, that was not
you
good.
a punk. That's why you ain't your grandparents. Anyway, don't mind me.
So, fellas, another great week of the remix. Shout out to all of us at BPM, here and not here right now, on and off screen, for putting together
2
another
hours
good
went by
week.
quick. I
Too
can't believe it
quick.
went by so fast.
Too quick. Too quick.
Oh, I was late. My bad.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was 1 hour for you.
Your hour went by quick.
Oh, I thought it felt like an hour. I'm like, shit, this shit felt like an hour. So, you know.
But at least you brought Samat with you, so that makes it a little
Hey, man,
easier. So thanks
we
for
needed
that.
some
We
feminine
appreciate
energy,
that.
man.
Yeah,
We needed some feminine energy, man.
yeah,
It's
no
like,
question.
you know, and I'm gonna leave it at that because I was about to say a Biggie line, but it might not come out properly. But anyway, shout out to Brooklyn.
So Kamal, our chief resident dirtbag, you got
The
anything
dirtbag.
planned? You causing
Definitely
problems this
chief resident
weekend? What's going
dirtbag.
on, man?
Well, we
Is
got
that his
more
new
marches,
title?
demos, different event. We got a town hall coming up this weekend. Also, I think on Monday around Cop City. So that organizing continues. You know, the pressure continues. You know, whether we can take some satisfaction for that we have delayed this project way past their sort of operational due date for when they suggested they would have it built. Folks from Eatonville can do something similar and probably greater by using some of them same tactics. So you make the developers sweat, put in extra money, make the county put some money in, make the state put some money in, make them see that this project won't get built, or you think it's going to make you some money, but it's going to cost you some money too. If you come to my town and you try to build things that we didn't ask you to build. So
I might need to go to Eatonville or Eatonton. I'm saying Eatonville. You know what I'm saying? Get them riled up down there. But I mean, on the real, imagine if there was mass mobilization and mass organization where all of these different issues, where folks are literally committing genocide, not just gentrification, by stealing this land. You're killing off families. You're killing off, the wildlife. You know what I'm saying? Animals, plants, the whole nine, just to build your bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's an act of genocide, and we gotta, address it as such, not just them taking land. What comes with them taking land? A lack of resources. You know what I mean? So, yeah, keep up the good work out there. Shout out to all the freedom fighters out there.
Absolutely.
Putting in that soldier work. Free all political prisoners. You know what I mean? We still here. We still banging for y'all. And continue to support Black Power Media to our people out there. It is a work in progress. You know what I'm saying? And we're grateful that we have the opportunity to deliver information to the masses worldwide. So we appreciate your efforts and your energy in checking us out.
Yes, indeed. Thanks again, everybody. Come on back at 11 if you can to join me and Rosa Clemente, and a lot coming up on the platform all weekend. So make sure you got everything clicked, locked, bells, whistles, all of that stuff. Like, share, subscribe, do all those things. We didn't quite get to the ear doctor today in terms of the spin count that we need, but
Yeah, we gotta get it up, y'all. We gotta get up. Let everybody know where we at right here at 8 to 10 right here on Black Power Media Remix Morning Show. And make sure y'all check out all the shows, like he said, Gorilla Intellect, Earn Your Liberation. We got Jackie Lukeman. We got the
Warrior
world
Class.
What is the Warrior Class? We got the Whirlwind Sisters. We got everything right here.
RSTV. Y'all better act like y'all know.
RSTV. Everything.
Another one
And
coming
check-
Saturday. Yes.
That's right. And check out Sundays also right here on Black Power Media. And make sure y'all tell a friend it's on again. Fellas, let's get out of here.
Peace,
Peace.
everybody.
Peace.